What's up guys? It's been a while since I've uploaded a build video. So now I'm back with another Alpha Bridge build. So if you remember my old Alpha Bridge build, I was running 272k DPS, 420 plus k toughness. Now I lowered my toughness a bit and increased my DPS significantly, plus a few other things that I'll show you in a bit. So let's get into it. My current stats are 312 DPS, 383 toughness, and 67,800 skill power. We'll get to the skill power part in a bit. So I'm using MP5 ST and an enhanced AUG A3P. So my talents are Swift, Vicious, Brutal, Responsive, Unforgiving, and Fierce. Previously I was running Deadly instead of Swift, but given that critical hit damage isn't that high anymore, it may mean it's additive. So the 15% from Deadly isn't that big as compared to the effect of Swift, where you reload 15% faster, which gives you more sustained damage. Plus it boosts my sheet DPS a bit. Let's check my weapon sheet stats, which are 14.2k weapon damage, 37.5 crit hit chance. This is decent. Preferably you would try to hit around 40%, 41-42% if you're running this low of a skill power. Crit hit damage 103%, still decent. Headshot damage 84%, which is quite high for an Alpha Bridge build. Damage bonuses are all weapon damage plus 5%. This comes from the 3-piece Alpha Bridge set. And SMG bonus damage from the gloves, the Savage gloves. So that's the weapon stats. Let's go ahead and check out the mods. Now, just a quick tip for picking mods: always go for crit hit chance first, headshot damage second, and crit hit damage third. Because when it comes to mods, headshot damage is additive, not like before, it's multiplicative. So unless you're getting headshot damage above 12%, you're better off going with crit hit chance. So here are my mods. On my muzzle, it's crit hit chance 7.5%, headshot damage 5.5%, crit hit damage at 4%. For me, this is very near the perfect rolls because it has 3 out of 3 of the good stats. Now, always when choosing mods, try to pick that kind of mod which has 3 out of 3 good stats. As much as possible, don't try to settle for 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 stats. Unless you don't have anything else. Like for my grip, I don't have anything else. I don't know if it can roll any better. I currently have 19% crit hit damage, 4.5 optimal range, 4% reload speed. That's about it. For the mag, it's 115% mag size, 3% crit hit chance, and 5.70 rate of fire. For the scope, as I was talking about earlier, go for headshot damage. If you can't go beyond 12%, go with crit chance instead. So right now, as you can see, I'm using a large scope, which is usually used with marksman rifles. That's the advantage of the MP5 ST version as compared to the Navy MP5 submachine gun. The MP5 ST allows you to use large optics, like the one that I'm using right here. So it has 16% headshot damage, 4% crit hit damage, and 3% critical hit chance. Alternatively, I switch this out with this one, which has 7% crit hit chance, 4% crit hit damage, and 5.5 headshot damage. I use this optic when I try to boost my skill power up. Like, for example, I'm using a Tenacious Mask with 3.5 crit hit chance. If I want to bump up my skill power, I switch this to Tenacious with skill power. Now I lose 3.5% crit hit chance, hence the switch from this optic to this optic. But normally I'm okay with the 67k skill power. I usually kill the opponent first before I run out of heals. And one more power tip: when picking a weapon, the main things that you should be looking for are the base damage and the talents, definitely. But for example, let's say you have the same gun, the same MP5 ST, but it has lower base damage, let's say 13.6, and it has perfect rolls as compared to something that has 14.2k damage, which only has 2 good rolls. Always pick the one with the higher base damage, because the higher base damage with 2 out of 3 good rolls is better than a lower base damage with 3 out of 3 good rolls. As for the inherent talent, I don't care too much about the submachine gun's inherent talent. I think that can be ignored. But as for the other guns, like let's say assault rifles, 20% enemy armor damage, I guess you can ignore this until patch 1.5 comes out. For the marksman rifles, you cannot ignore the headshot damage. Well, actually, I'm rambling here. Anyway, let's go back to the build. We've checked out our weapons, we've checked out our mods, our talents, our sheet stats. Now let's move on to the gear. So I'm using 4-piece Alpha Bridge. As always, roll armor wherever possible. So that means roll armor on chest, roll armor on backpack, roll armor on holster, and roll armor on knee pads. Same with the mods, always go for armor. So let's take a look on my gear. Oh, before we start this, I want to show you something. I have actually reached 60% mitigation and a little bit more. I'm at 60.12. The highest that I've gotten was 60.20, I think. 60.20, yeah. If I'm using my assault rifle. But let's stick with this first, 60.12. It's really hard to reach 60%. Most players sit at between 55 to 58. A few people sit at 59, and fewer still sit at 60% or above. So that's what you aim for, 60% and above. Now try to take a look at the armors that I have right now, and you can compare it to yours. If you have armor that is close to what I have, then you could possibly reach that 60%. So let's go back into the gear. For my chest piece, it has 2802 armor, and along with that armor, I'm running health, although I would prefer to have exotic damage resilience on it, but it is what it is. It's what I've got. And for minor attributes, 50% ammo capacity. Always get ammo capacity. There's no other minor attribute that's worth replacing ammo capacity for, so just get ammo capacity. I've rolled 988 stamina on it, pretty decent, as max rolls are around 1008, so I'm 30 points short, which is okay. On my mods, it has 263 armor each with 209 firearms. If I want really high damage, like, I could switch to this, which has lower armor, spec into firearms as compared to this, which is spec into stamina. I do this sometimes when I'm running with a 4-man group with a dedicated support player, and instead of using firearms mods, I switch to stamina mods with armor. Let's go to my mask. I'm using a tenacious mask, 792 armor, which is really high. Hopefully I could get it to 800. I know I've got max that I've got was 796. I don't think I've reached 800 yet on mask. 3.5 crit hit chance, and again 263 armor and 209 firearms. This exact mod, this was available 2 weeks ago, I think, from Dark Zone vendor. No what do you call this, gear mod has come close to this after that. I think right now they're selling firearms with armor, but it's only around 230 armor to 250 armor. It's not as good as this. Always try to aim for 260 plus. Don't go below it. Disregard the low firearms as long as it has 260 plus armor. Pick that. Now for the knee pads, again it has really high armor rolls, 2501. As you can see, most of my knee pads only have 2400. My previous knee pads had 2495, which almost reached 25, but yeah, it's different. This is better. Backpack, this is a legacy backpack. I know it's so hard to get like a proper backpack, gear set backpack, because most of the time you get, what do you call this, electronics roll and signature resource ability or another crappy stat. So I'm still holding on to this because I haven't picked up anything better. Again, it has 260 plus armor and 204 stamina. Now this one I crafted this. Alternatively, I run specialized, but due to the large difference in armor, I stick with this backpack. Now for the gloves, as always, Savage gloves. Nothing's better than Savage unless you're running a pistol build. SMG damage, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and 970 stamina. I have better gloves here, like let's say this assault rifle damage gloves, 786. This is when I use this, I get to 60.20% damage mitigation. So sometimes I switch to ARs. Yeah, for this specific build, I'm using this one. Holster. Decent rolls, 1003 firearms, 985 stamina, 985 electronics, 641 armor, 1438 total armor. Let's take a look again at my sheet stats. For the weapons, it's 37.5 crit hit chance with 14.2k weapon damage, 103% critical hit damage, and 84% headshot damage. For my survivability, total toughness is 383,000 with 152 max health and 60.12% damage mitigation. For my skills, I use Pulse, Scrambler, and Booster Shot. Sometimes I use Overdose, but most of the time I use Booster Shot. My mentality in PvP is increase your damage reduction as much as possible via skills and talents. For example, I'm using On the Move. Gives me 30% reduction from incoming damage for 10 seconds. And Critical Save, which gives me 40% damage resistance when I use a medkit during my last segment. So those are 2 damage reduction talents. And added with 15% damage reduction that I get from this, I don't need to have an overheal with that much damage reduction. So for my 2 other talents, one is None and Strike Back. Sometimes I switch out One is None to Tactical Advance. Most of the time I run this because I still try to aim for the head. It's more efficient. Consume less, kill faster with less bullets if you're always hitting the head. So that's it. These are my stats, these are my gears, these are my skills, and these are my talents. Well, hopefully you like my build, and do give me a feedback regarding this voiceover. It's my first video where I did a voice commentary. I don't know if it sounds great, I don't know if I need better equipment, but yeah, do let me know in the comment section below. Alright, see you soon guys.